It was one of those Wyoming mornings where the world feels so still you can hear your own heartbeat in your ears, and I'll be honest, I was hoping for just another regular day, nothing but a little frost on the sage boots crunching gravel, the kind of peace you only get out here when everyone else is still in bed. Instead, I got a front row seat to a mess that would drag me through the wildest ride of my life, and it all started with a pile of someone else's trash. At first, I thought it was nothing. Just a stray plastic wrapper flapping against the north fence line, maybe blown off a hay truck or left behind by a careless hunter, but as I got closer, the pile was way too big to write off as wind-blown junk. There was busted up lumber, broken concrete blocks, insulation flapping off the sides, like the world's saddest parade float looked like some fool had dumped half a construction site right in the gold stubble behind my pasture. And I'll tell you, nothing ruins a good morning like realizing your land's been turned into a personal landfill. I figured maybe it was just a lazy contractor. Happens more than you'd think out here. And usually if you leave it long enough, someone comes back and picks up the worst of it. So I told myself, next time I bring the flatbed, I'll haul it off, no harm, no foul. But man, a week later, that pile had turned into a mountain. Drywall everywhere, plastic wrap, torn up cement bags, and this time wedged under a soggy board was a mud-stained folder with a Silver Creek HOA logo stamped right on the front. Now, Silver Creek is the new money crowd, big stone gates, fancy identical homes, the kind of place where they measure the grass and send you letters if your mailbox leans a little. I'd had my run-in with their president, Karen Miller, back when they first moved in. She'd shown up all smiles and cookies, trying to convince me I'd be better off joining the club, and I'd told her as politely as I could manage that I already had enough people telling me what to do, thank you very much. So you can imagine my mood finding their clubhouse scraps dumped on my land. I called the HOA office thinking I'd get a secretary, but no, it was Karen herself, voice as sweet as syrup gone sour. I told her what I'd found and where made it clear this needed to get cleaned up. She laughed light as air and said they'd get around to it when the time is right. I told her it was my land, and she hit me with, "We'll see what we can do." That was it. Hung up just like that. You know what I mean? That kind of smug brush off that makes your teeth itch. Well, by week 3, the fence line was less a ranch boundary and more a DIY landfill. And every day there was more. Fresh tire tracks in the gravel, big duals pulling off the road, dropping loads in the dead of night. I started sitting in the shade of the cottonwoods with my thermos and a pair of binoculars just waiting. Sure enough, one afternoon a flatbed rolled up and dumped 2 more loads like they owned the place. Didn't even look around, just dumped, slammed the tailgate, and rolled off toward Silver Creek. I got the license plate plain as day. Called Karen again, let her know I had photos and video. This time she acted like I was making it all up, told me materials get recycled during construction, and they tidy up when it makes sense for our schedule. I told her your schedule isn't my problem, but she just kept right on with the condescension, said I wasn't using that patch of land anyway, like that made it fair game. I'll admit I was about 2 words away from saying something I'd regret. That's when I called my neighbor Sam. He's a lawyer, never met a property dispute he couldn't turn into a 5-ring circus. He told me to document everything, photos, videos, tire tracks, dates, GPS stamps, the works. No shouting, no threats, just build the record. So I did. Every time they dumped, I took pictures. I even sent the drone up for aerial shots twice a day, just to be sure. After a week, my phone was full of footage trucks dumping guys tossing scrap over the fence. Enough evidence to make a prosecutor giddy. Sam told me to call the state environmental office, said if any of that junk was hazardous, the hammer would drop hard. Sure enough, 2 days later, a state truck rolled up inspectors in safety vests, poking through the insulation and scraping paint into little baggies. One of them looked up and said, "This stuff shouldn't be anywhere near livestock. You're lucky you caught it." That's when I realized this was bigger than just some neighborly spat. This could turn into an EPA-level disaster. Sam came by with a trail cam, set it up high in the cottonwoods to catch every plate, every face. I called my friend Bill, who runs a trucking outfit, to estimate just how much garbage was piled up. He kicked at a heap of drywall and said 5, maybe 6 full loads, Jack. You could build a house out of this. I laughed, told him maybe we'd return it to Cinder. By then, the evidence was stacked higher than the trash itself. Videos, photos, witness statements, shipping labels with the HOA's logo clear as day. The fence line wasn't just an eyesore, it was a time bomb, and Karen didn't know she was sitting on top of it. I was done waiting. One night, me Bill Tom, another partner in questionable decisions, and Sam hashed out a plan, load it all up, drive it right back into Silver Creek's heart, and make sure everyone saw who'd really been dumping on who. Bill had the rigs, Tom had the loader, I had the signs, returned to owner with love from Huntley Ranch. We picked a cold, moonless night, met at my barn, and got to work. Every scoop of the loader sounded like a jaw breaking. By midnight, we were rolling toward Silver Creek headlights off engines low. The subdivision looked like a movie set, silent, perfect, every house glowing. We drove right up onto the manicured park, dumped 3 massive piles, one by the playground, one at the clubhouse doors, one under the big Silver Creek sign. I staked the signs, deep, big, bold letters, no mistaking who was sending the message. We rolled out quiet as ghosts. Back at the ranch, the fence line was finally clear, and for the first time in weeks, it felt like mine again. Didn't even have to wait till morning for the fallout. By 6 a.m., my phone was buzzing off the nightstand. Sam was on the line, practically cackling. You watching the Silver Creek Facebook group, it's a circus. The whole town had seen the piles. Photos everywhere, people raging about community terrorism, Karen posting about vandalism, half the comments demanding to know why the trash had HOA shipping labels all over it. Local news called by 9. By 10, there were camera crews at my gate. I let them in, told them the truth. I didn't dump anything in Silver Creek that didn't come from Silver Creek first. And then I pulled out all the receipts, photos, videos, license plates, the whole stack. Didn't mention the environmental inspection, figured I'd save that for later. It didn't take long for the HOA to go from angry to panicked. They blamed unauthorized contractors, promised investigations. Nobody was buying it. By that afternoon, Karen called me herself, voice like an ice storm. "Jack, you've made a very big mistake. We'll see you in court." I told her to bring her evidence. I'd bring mine. 2 days later, we were in county court. Karen's lawyer tried to spin it as illegal dumping and destruction of property. The judge, who I knew from the county fair committee, just raised his eyebrows higher and higher. Sam laid out the timeline photos, drone footage, even those board meeting minutes where the HOA discussed disposing of construction waste without paying landfill fees. Judge shook his head, said this court finds no merit in the plaintiff's claims. The defendant merely returned property to its rightful owner. Case dismissed. Karen left with her jaw set so hard you'd think it was welded shut. I knew she wasn't done, and sure enough, a few nights later, my phone buzzed with an alert from the trail cam. I grabbed my boots, my old rifle just in case. Out here, you don't go outside at night empty-handed and check the live feed. 4 figures by the fence, one with bolt cutters, another spray painting the side of my barn, a trash bag swinging from their hand. Even in night vision, you could spot Karen's posture, rigid, angry finger jabbing as she bossed the others around. But those cameras weren't just recording, they piped straight into the sheriff's office. Less than 5 minutes later, patrol lights washed the night in blue and red, and the whole crew was caught red-handed, spray paint on their boots, trash bags full of the same construction waste, and in the SUV, a folder full of photos of my place, notes in Karen's sharp handwriting about my routines. The deputies read the charges right there: trespassing, vandalism, illegal dumping, conspiracy to commit criminal mischief. The look on Karen's face could have cracked concrete. The state ran their tests on the trash, same asbestos-laced junk the environmental office had flagged. Now it was a felony. News blew up photos of Karen in cuffs, headlines about the HOA dumping scandal, the whole county talking. The HOA board tried to distance themselves, but 2 of the arrested were board members who'd voted to handle it internally. When the trial came, it was standing room only. The evidence was a freight train, every label, every video, even Karen's notes on best times to strike. Jury didn't need long, guilty on every count. Karen got 8 years, $180,000 in fines. The others got 3 to 5. The HOA collapsed, Leadership gone, budget gutted by fines and my civil suit. They sold off land to pay the debt. Bill bought it for me at auction. 6 months later, the Wyoming Agricultural Heritage exhibit opened right where their manicured park used to be. Centerpiece, a chunk of concrete and a bent nail from the original dump, one of my signs front and center. Now, some folks call it the Huntley Museum. The opening drew half the county. Even a few Silver Creek folks showed up shaking my hand, laughing about the whole mess. When a reporter asked how I felt, I told him, let's just say I don't think that brand of garbage will end up on my land again, but if it does, I've got plenty of display space left. That night I stood by my fence line, wind humming in the new wires, pasture rolling out clean under the stars. Out here land remembers. So do I. But you tell me, was I right to fight fire with fire, or did I just make things worse? Let me know what you'd have done. I'm all ears.